Let's play number 6.
She was less impressed.
Number that nobody's really talking about, and here's what it is. U.S., out of our GDP that we have, we spend 3.4% of it on our military. Our military expenditure is the highest in the world. So we spend around $950 billion, give or take, on military expenditure. Mexico is the lowest in the world, 0.7% of their GDP, which is only $12 billion a year, and Canada is only 1.3%, which is around $27 billion. Why am I sharing this number with you? They don't need to spend it because they have America that's so powerful that who the hell is waking up thinking about attacking Canada or Mexico? Yeah, so here's my opinion. I think this 25%.
Pause it for 1 second. In the absence of the United States having the not just the world's largest military budget, but twice as large as the rest of the world combined, I think it is. Who's thinking we need to invade Mexico or Canada?
Besides the current
Besides
president.
the United States.
Besides Trump, who we have this tariff thing and this threats to bomb Mexico. That would violate countless treaties, including a trade deal that Trump signed himself while he was in office. These are two of our 3 largest trading partners, and he's openly trying to shake them down. Like, as you're saying, this could really damage our relationships with them going forward. But Ingram at least expressed some skepticism, I think, here.
Thinking about attacking Canada or Mexico. So here's my opinion. I think this 25% that they're wanting to remove, I think it needs to stay because we're providing you protection. We're providing you safety. There's a reason your military is not that strong. You're using that money to invest into other areas. Why are we doing that? If we're doing that to provide safety to you, I think America should at least have a 25% tax tariff, if you want to call it, regardless of whatever happens, simply for the protection President Trump in the U.S.
Pause it for a second. See the sleight of hand here, though? Why are we doing this? Okay, why are we doing this? Why are we spending this money? If it's not for our benefit, why are we doing it? But all right, you want a 25% tariff? How about we just reduce our expenditure in the military by whatever number you think that is going to generate for these countries? Because we know that 25% tariff on these countries is going to end up being a tax, a regressive tax, a sales tax. And it's going to hurt middle and low income Americans more than anybody else. So if that's the theory, but then he just switches over to we just take it for granted that we need this size of a military. Well, who are we protecting whom from what? Good.
Happens simply for the protection President Trump in the U.S. provides Mexico and Canada.
Yeah, I'm not too impressed with the Canadian response, frankly. I mean, the fentanyls I don't know what that's going to do. And I guess they'll have a few helicopters flying at the border. I mean, it's not nothing, but they were going to get slapped with 25% tariffs, and now those are gone for at least 30 days. I'm not sure what's going to happen in 30 days. Maybe some other concessions, but I think President Trump saw a huge negative reaction to this, as I know you predicted, I predicted, from Wall Street, from the markets, from all the establishment types. Do you think he reacted to that? Or maybe some of his advisors said, whoa, we gotta rethink this?
Pause it for a second. For those of you who don't speak Fox News propaganda having to concede some actual reality, that is, Trump caved because all his rich benefactors were like, dude, what are you doing?
Because this is his shakedown tactic. This is what he learned from his dad. It's essentially threaten them, scare them, get what you need out of them. But his
he didn't get anything.
He didn't get anything, but it doesn't matter, right? He needs to be flattered. He wants the phone calls. He wants the respect. It's about this black hole in his heart that can never be fulfilled and to look tough.
That's what governs it. Is the Financial Times 2 days ago, Trump faces backlash from business as trade war sounds
I think what happened was this, is that this idiot actually believed his own dumbness. Yep. No one around him said, hey, boss.
They don't pay us Tariffs.
Hey, boss, we're not going to be able to replace the income tax.
The
with
IRS.
You're confusing our budget deficit with the trade deficit. These are two different things. Deficit means the same thing, but you apply them in different areas. And nobody's going to say that to Trump. They're just saying, you know what? We're going to have problems with the business community. And
Yeah.
Trump's like, okay, I can still make this work. I just lie and say I got what I asked for.
But shaking down his friends and America's allies is something that's actually a crossover from his previous administration.
It may
with
be
the way
case,
he did it with
but
Ukraine.
he didn't get crap because he didn't know what he was doing.
I know, that's what we're saying. I'm
I
agreeing
mean,
with
I
you.
will tell you a story about the Apprentice, where my understanding is that, and maybe this is just apocryphal, I'll say that as a let's say even this is a made up story, but the made up story is that he wanted what's her name, the
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels on The Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
In this made-up story.
In this made up story. He wanted Stormy Daniels on The Apprentice, and he was adamant. He kept telling the ABC people, I want her, I want her, I want her. And they didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to deal with it. He kept asking for months. And she said that he kept asking her. This is all my made up story. And in this made up story, the ABC executives at one point, they wrote down a piece of number. They wrote down on a piece of paper a number, basically representing the ad sales that they would lose. Because Trump had a piece of this.
NBC,
the ad
you mean?
NBC. It's a made up story anyway.
Right, yeah.
The number was, and they put it on his desk. They came in and they said, hey, we got a number of what we will lose for the things if you want to go ahead with the Stormy Daniels thing. It's up to you. He looks at the paper, sees the number, crumples it up and says, okay, forget it. That's it.
His
That's
version
it.
of that is the stock market when they reacted to these tariffs.
Well,
That's
and-
the exact same version. It's just him reacting to that and saying, okay, never mind.
It's just a number. Never mind. We're going to pretend it was all real.
So John Murphy, Senior Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce, says the president is right to focus on major problems like our broken border and the scourge of fentanyl, but imposition of tariffs won't solve these problems and will only raise prices for American families. Ditto Tom Madrecki.
There's your populism.
Yeah, Consumer Brands Association, Kim Clausen of the Peterson Institute. So yeah, there's the populism.
He's only responding to the money, like always. But he's given the rubes, and they're rubes, definitionally.
Absolutely.
When you get sold a bill of goods, Sean Hannity's out there. Here it is, folks. Congratulations. You're a rube.
At least Laura Ingram's saying it's stupid, which is true, but
Is there
that's
any
why
more?
you got demoted to 7 p.m., Laura.
Too bad.
Yeah, Ingram wants to, she's not.
What's wrong with her?
Trump.
What's wrong with her?
That's why you're no longer at 10 p.m.
Is there more to this?
We can hear PBD's response if you want.
Let's hear. She says, he didn't really get anything, did he? I mean, a fentanyl czar? That's like, I don't know. You're just basically saying to anybody, like, do you want a job?
Yeah.
Matt, you're the fentanyl czar in the office. Congratulations.
It's almost like getting the opportunity to sell insurance after you've bought insurance from somebody.
Do you think he reacted to that? Or maybe some of his advisors said, whoa, we gotta rethink this?
I think President Trump is a guy that, in my opinion, likes to ask people, what do you think behind closed doors? But at the end of the day, he's a strategist. He's thinking 5, 10, 15 moves ahead. And he knows he has the leverage card. He's going to be pushing his weight around, and he ought to be, because it's about time somebody on America negotiated on our behalf in ways where we're not being taken advantage of. I love the fact that within 5 days, Colombia came out talking as if they're tough at 3:40 a.m. in the morning. He's sending a tweet. Who knows if he was drunk or not? Then you have Panama coming out. Now you got Canada, then you got Mexico, and then today Zelensky is talking about the fact that we only got $77 billion, and President Trump is saying, hey, we're going to need some of those minerals if you want to exchange for the money. What he's doing is he's negotiating.
Oh.
And this is a beautiful thing when you have somebody that comes from 50 years on free enterprise, free market. Everything is
All right,
negotiation.
we don't need to anymore. Yeah, it's a negotiation. He got nothing, and the cost was paid by the businesses.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
He got nothing
could you
for
not go
America.
insane?
He got nothing. Zero. But I don't know, those Kentucky whiskey places that you saw those Canadians taking that stuff off the shelves, maybe some of that comes back, maybe some of it doesn't. But this is, this is the entire Republican ethos. And that is externalize the costs, privatize the profits. And if there's no profits, at least you haven't paid any costs. That was, Patrick Bet-David's business model. That is Donald Trump's business model. That is why they're going to destroy the administrative state. Somebody else will pay the cost, and I will get the upside if there's an upside.
Yep.
That's it.
It must be insane to be like Laura Ingraham and be trying to have a conversation. I mean, she's trying to have a conversation about like, can we actually really get something? And PBD just goes back into the talking points and lists all the different things as if they were just uncategorical.
Let me list a name. Let me list 8 countries. All the things he's talking about. He goes up there and he talks about 8 different countries. You got to give him credit for that. He's thinking 6-7 years in advance when he's going to be buying an island in the Caribbean and completely free of any legal liabilities. That's all he's thinking. Yeah. It is literally, it couldn't be a better example of what is problematic. One of the things that's problematic in the United States, which is like you've got corporations that basically function to enrich a very small group of people at the top of them. Board of directors, CEOs, with no consideration long-term health of the company, no consideration of the other constituencies, the workers, the communities that they live in, none of that. It is just how a handful of people, literally, can enrich themselves by extracting from that company rather than putting anything back into it. And that's exactly what we're watching these guys do with the United States. They're just extracting. They're figuring out different ways of doing it. And what they're doing right now, they are in the process of getting rid of all the safeguards and the guardrails that prevent corporations from extracting the wealth of America. And frankly, on some level, that's like part of what he's using for leverage here too. They'll extract. I mean, he's going to try and extract from Mexico and Canada. He's going to try and extract from everybody. But what we're seeing with Musk and Russell Vogt and the heart of the Republican Party is how do we allow corporations to extract more from America and American people?
And if Trump just wants to feel like the big guy in town. So it seems like with Susie Wiles being his chief of staff, there is a understanding with the rest of the Republican apparatus, which includes things like the Heritage Foundation, which were instrumental in crafting Project 2025. And prior to Trump, they were the big dogs in town too with the Republican project, just to bolster Sam's point. They're going to be okay with letting Trump be Trump and having someone manage him so they can still get exactly what they want, even though his antics will be the thing at the forefront. My bourbon as an industry, which brings in $9 billion a year, is going to take a massive hit. Bashir indicated to our Kentucky lawmakers the other day that we need to put provisions in place to protect them. Do you think that Pete Hegseth raised alarms internally about this, and that's why the tariffs were reversed?
I think he knows that that maybe they would go up and bourbon prices would go up in the United States, but I'm sure he's already stocked up.
You're right.
The guy has a truck, I think, moving around behind him, like with in a tap. The Chinese tariffs, we'll see what happens on that regard, but that's going to end up costing Americans, and we'll see it in the context of inflation. But we'll see what happens with that. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.